Stitcher, and welcome back to my channel for Flosstube number 49. It's been about 3 weeks since I've last talked to you, and I am so excited to share everything crafting that I've been getting up to. If you're new here, this is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my crafting life, mostly cross-stitch. Today, cross-stitch and knitting, and unfortunately still no book chat because I'm currently unslumping myself. But I am so excited to chit chat with you today. I do want to give a little bit of a disclaimer that there is construction happening in my neighborhood right now. So unfortunately, if you hear any ambient noise of drilling or vehicles or something that sounds like a lawnmower, they are repaving the roads, and unfortunately there's not much I can do about it, but I still want to chit chat with you guys. Today is Thursday, December 5th, 2024. And it is the day before the Jingle Ball, hosted by Lindy Stitches. It is a virtual stitching retreat that I have gone to for this will be my second annual Jingle Ball, but I'm so excited. So that means I couldn't film this weekend. So I am working from home and I am filming on my lunch break, but I am so excited to get to chit chat with you and show you all of the crafty goodness that I've gotten up to, because I have 2 finishes, one of which is a huge finish for me. And yeah, I'm just very excited to chit chat holiday cross stitch plans and delve into that end of year panic. So if any of that sounds good to you, I hope that you will like and subscribe and leave me a comment saying hi. And let's get into today's video. I'm on my little Grinch earrings since I'm not sure if I'll be filming again before Christmas. So I wanted to get that out of the way. But we are going to go in order today of the projects that I worked on chronologically since we last talked. So there will be 2 finishes snuck in there, no new starts, and hopefully it should be a pretty good time. So let's get into the first project. So the first project that I worked on since I chit-chatted with you guys was At Home by Brenda Gervais with My Needle and Thread. This is a project that was on my under 10% list. So for those of you who don't know, I use an app called Notion to track my cross stitching, and I am working this year by the end of 2024 to try and get all of my whips past the 10% mark. So everything I have will have a pretty solid start relative to its size. And I am happy to report that as of right now, I only have 2 projects remaining on my under 10% list, which is amazing considering I hover somewhere around the 40 to 45 whip range usually. And this project was on under 10%, so I had to get it past that, and I'm so happy I did. This is what it looked like the last time that you guys saw it, which was in September, I think. I wanted to pull this out for Sampler September, which I kind of failed at Sampler September as a concept this year. I didn't get a ton done, but I did work on this a little bit, and this is what it's looking like now. So I am stitching this on a 36 count linen that I dyed myself using coffee grounds, and I think I over dyed the coffee ground dyed linen with a little bit of like a very tiny bit of gray diluted RIT dye. I'm not 100% sure what I used, but I started this on July 22nd of 2023, and the last time you saw it, it was sitting at 5% finished, and it is now at exactly 10%. So I did, let's see, how much did I do on this project? Oh, I just did 1,000 stitches, so I didn't do a ton. I'm fairly sure I just worked the border coming up and across, and then I filled in the straight line border on this side. So not a ton, but I did spend a couple days working on this on a weekend just to have something different and interesting. And I love this so much. I'm keeping this project in a Little Boat 88 project bag that I absolutely love. They're one of my favorite project bag makers. And I am using the Vicky Clayton Silk Conversion, which are based off of the Called For Fancy Flosses. And it is a beautiful floss ring. It is a chunky floss ring. These big samplers by Brenda Gervais tend to have quite a bit of floss called for, but that is fine. It's what makes it absolutely stunning. So I could sit down and work on this a ton. I just never want to put it away, but unfortunately that's all it's going to get this year, but it is above that 10% mark. So next time I pick this up, I will be working for the the 25% category. So I think this is in total sitting at about 2,000 stitches done. I think I am, for this project, going to continue working the border, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish out the border and then get to fill in all that ooey gooey center, the really rewarding stuff. I'm gonna eat my vegetables on this project. I did start in this bottom corner over here, which is not normally where I start. I am a top left starter in general, but I was inspired by my friend Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, who started this. She's the one who I first saw this project on. But I was totally inspired to start at the bottom and attempt to stitch in hand using her method, because I am primarily a hoop stitcher. I use Morgan hoops. They are the creme de la creme of hoops. I haven't used Q-snaps since I started using them. But I do also alternate stitching in hand sometimes. I learned the sewing method when I first started. My very first ever cross stitch piece I stitched in hand. But the way that I learned the sewing method was to put the needle going up and down into your project rather than across. And I know this probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but anyway, Elizabeth Ann posted her sewing in hand method and I wanted to give it a try. And it turns out I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm so used to the way that my stitches lay when I go up and down or stitch in a hoop, and particularly with the linen on this project, because it's a Zweigart base that I dyed, it didn't tighten up as much as my normal linen that I stitch on. So it is a very loose weave, and I just feel like it's a little bit unstable, and sometimes my stitches pull a little funky. So I've been back to hoop stitching on this, which has also slowed it down a good bit, but it is not quite this intense of modeling in person. The camera picks it up like crazy, but I do really, really love it. So I am a big fan of this piece. I really want to stitch more on it next year, which is something I say about everything I stitch, but I have been really good about whipping down, particularly in the latter half of this year, and I am feeling pretty confident about my ability to devote some time to this in 2025. The needle minder, in case you were wondering, is a little pincushion needle minder that my friend Alexis of Alexis_MyAmazingWorld made for me. And I love the pincushion needle minder. It is so handy. I don't know why I'm folding this. I have to go take a picture of it after. Okay, sorry about that. I got a text and had to stop filming, so I don't know where I cut off. But I think I finished talking about At Home. I love that project so much, and I know there's quite a few people stitching it at the moment. It got really popular when it was released last summer, so you can definitely find other people stitching it as well. But the next project that I pulled out is a huge focus on a finished project for me for the end of the year, and that is my Vanity Sampler by Hello from Liz Mathews. Now, if you've been following me for any length of time, you've likely seen this project. I am trying to finish Vanity Sampler with my friend Cam of Cam the Stitcher here on Flosstube, who you should definitely check out if you have not yet. She made this amazing conversion for this project that we are stitching together. And we divided this up into 12 equal sections. The bag is from Painted Leaf Co. And we are stitching it with Cam's conversion with the intention, and I have them on Cam's floss drops that I got at StitchCon. This is her conversion. Stitching this to try and get it finished by the end of this year. And we have been keeping up with it up until September. September, we both hit some stumbles, and we are playing a massive game of catch up on this project. So this is what it looked like the last time that you saw it, which would have been Flosstube number 46. It was sitting at about 70% complete. It needed to be sitting at about 80 at that point in time. And I had done about 15,768 stitches on it. I'm happy to report that after a week-long focus of stitching on nothing but this, trying to get this to a reasonable finishing point for December, this is now sitting at, I actually don't know what it's sitting at, but I know it's sitting at under 2,500 stitches left. So I did, in a week, 7 days of a blitz on Vanity Sampler alone, which after doing, I don't know how you monogamous stitchers do it. I was so ready to be done with this by the end of that week, but I did 4,200 stitches over those 7 days to get it to this point. So I am amazed at the progress though. I think it is absolutely stunning. I went through and I stitched all of the motifs on this side. I finished filling in the light pink and the light gray in this big center flower motif, and I finished all of the dark pink in the, I keep calling this the ribbon candy border, I guess it's just a scalloped edge, and started filling in the center of that scalloped edge. And that is where I've made it to. So to finish up the project, I just have to repeat the motifs on this side over here and finish in this last little bit of stitching on the inside of this border down here. And it will be done. Let me get you in on what I've actually stitched. This is absolutely insane. So Cam and I started this back in August of 2023 and started the yearly focus on it in January of this year. I am stitching mine on a 40 count spilled coffee linen by XJuDesign that is absolutely stunning. And I'm stitching it with Cam's conversion. Now Cam is stitching her conversion as a true 1-to-1 conversion, which means everything in a certain symbol you are stitching in the replaced color. I am being a little bit more choosy, so I'm using Cam's conversion as the base, but I have gone through and changed out a couple of the motifs to different colors just to have them pop a little bit more on my fabric, because my fabric's a little bit deeper than what Cam is stitching on. So this scalloped edge border is called for in the light pink, but I swapped it to the dark pink, as well as the petals on this flower vase right here. I inverted the pinks on this berry bowl here and these berry bowls up at the top. I also swapped out the petal colors on this flower from the lightest gray to the deepest purple, because this color isn't used very much throughout the chart and I just thought it popped a lot more. And in this house motif here, I swapped the roof color and the door color. And also here made this 3726 instead of the lightest pink. So just a couple swaps here and there to really make it pop and stand out on my fabric a little bit more. I think it's cool. It gives it a bit of a difference from Cam's project while still remaining true to the piece. It was just snap decisions as they came to me, and I've made notes of them so that I can repeat them on this other mirrored side here. But I am so excited. The next time that you see this project, it will be a finish. I am speaking that out into the universe now. In fact, after filming today's Flosstube, I'm going to allow myself a couple fun days of Christmas stitching for the Jingle Ball, and then I am back to focusing on this until it's a finish. So that is the Vanity Sampler. I cannot wait to have this as a finish. Oh my gosh. I have to start thinking about what kind of a frame I want on this project, because I have no earthly clue what color frame. Maybe like a dark gray green wood stain. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is a labor of love, but it has been so extremely worth it, especially with how much effort it has really taken to focus in on this project and make it a priority this year. That has been a really gratifying experience to see it come to fruition, when I think I started this year only having this butterfly and this berry bowl and like a tiny bit of this border done. So technically this should be sitting for December at only 1,700 stitches left, 1,800 stitches left. And it's at 2,400, a little over 2,400, but you know, we're doing our best. I'm only human. Next up, I decided to tackle another one of my 10% projects that is finally in season for me to attempt the goal on this. But I started 'Tis the Season by Blackbird Designs with Caitlin of Cross Stitch Kate last summer in 2023. And unfortunately, I only stitched on it for the one day that I started it, and I only had like 250 stitches done on the project. It was at a terrible like 4% complete or something. Not great, but I decided to pull this back out this year and work on it a little bit more, try and get a not embarrassing amount of progress to end out this year. And so I did. So this is located in the Home for the Holidays book by Blackbird Designs, along with Christmas Garden, and it is absolutely stunning. I love a lot of the projects in here, but Christmas Garden and 'Tis the Season are arguably my two favorites. I will show you 'Tis the Season here. Oh, it's so pretty. We are both stitching this with stash conversions. I believe she brightened up her colors using her Color and Cotton stash, and I used my Forbidden Fiber Co stash, and we're both stitching it on bluish fabrics. There's a close-up of the cardinal on the back of the book. But I am using a Forbidden Fiber Co stash conversion that is really fun and really pretty. I know it's not quite as antiqued as the original, but when you see the fabric I'm stitching it on, you will understand. So this is on 40 count Billie Jean linen by Roxy Floss Co, which I had previously started something else on, so ignore this little line of stitching here. But this is what it's looking like now. I went through and filled in a lot of this cardinal, finished out the branch, added these snowflakes and this branch under here and his legs. And that's where I'm at. So not a ton of progress. I only worked on this for one day. I did about 800 stitches on it though, and it's now sitting at about 19% complete with over 1,000 stitches on the project. So this one isn't huge, but it is more stitching than it looks like. So you know, take that with a grain of salt. It's pretty long, but it isn't very tall. So that's the full height of the piece. It's just a lot more cardinal to fill in and a lot more leaves and the French verse at the bottom that I can't wait to have done. But I love how the white pops on this blue like denim fabric. I think it's so pretty. And this is definitely something I'd like to finish next year. I had originally wanted to finish it this year, but with trying to hit my other end of year goals, I just don't think it's realistic for me to think that this is going to get done. So yeah, that's 'Tis the Season. That is the second project I've started out of the Home for the Holidays book. The other one being Christmas Garden, which I do plan on pulling out next week. I am taking a trip with my mom and I call her my bonus sister, but a close family friend who's essentially like my older sister. We take a girls trip to Pawhuska, Oklahoma every year. And we'll be going next year. So Christmas Garden, I'm stitching on 36 count linen, and it is going to be a perfect travel stitch. But this is in a project bag that I made myself a long time ago. And yeah, it's a little floppy, but that's okay. I was a beginner at that point in time. So yeah, I'm gonna be taking Christmas Garden with me, hopefully get a little bit of progress. That's a pretty chill trip, so I am anticipating having a little bit of stitching time, maybe not a ton, but every little bit counts. So the next project that I pulled out is my Peaky Blinders stitch. So my friends and I are watching Peaky Blinders together, and not together, but we're watching it separately at the same time. And we decided to stream and stitch it. So if you check out our Instagrams, I have mine in a story highlight on my main Instagram page. You'll see it titled Peaky Blinders. And I am working on one project. Every time I watch an episode of Peaky Blinders, I track how many stitches I can get in during that episode. And it is so much fun. So I only watched one episode of Peaky Blinders since we've talked because things have gotten really busy. But I did work on my Forget Me Not by Hello from Liz Mathews. And I will also show you what this looked like last time you saw it. I started this on June 24th of 2023 with my friend Maddie of Kitty Stitch here on Flosstube. And last time you saw it, it was sitting at 43% complete, or about 3,287 stitches. And this is what it looks like now. I only worked on it for one episode, but during that one episode, I was able to get 220 stitches done. So it's still not at 50%, but it is a little bit further, right in that same range. I'm stitching this on 40 count Flannel Flower linen by Fox and Rabbit, which is one of my favorite neutrals, and I think you can see why. It is just, oh, so pretty. And I'm stitching it with the HDF Silk Conversion. So essentially I just went through and I finished out the edges of some of these flowers on this stem and started working on finishing the flowers on this stem. Once I finish the flowers on this one, I'm gonna go through and do the centers with the white and the gold on all of these flowers and then start on this final branch there. So that'll be the plan of attack, but this has gotten a significant amount of progress this year. I am on track to finish this before I finish the end of Peaky Blinders. So I should be able to finish this whole piece through my rewatch, but I am taking it slow. I'm not really forcing myself to be devoted and do an episode every single night, because some nights I just needed to devote my stitching time to other projects. But you know, when I do watch an episode and I pull one out, this is that. So if you want to follow along in real time when I'm working on this, definitely go follow me on Instagram, because I will be posting to my stories when I do work on this. So yeah, that is Forget Me Not by Hello from Liz Mathews. I am a huge fan of this chart, and I think it's so special to be able to look back and know that, you know, I made a dedicated work on this project while watching Peaky Blinders for the very first time. For some of my friends, it's a rewatch, but for me, I'd never seen it before, and I am very much enjoying it. So this progress was brought to you by season 2, episode 4, I think. So almost done with season 2. Then I have a SAFFO. So that is, a SAF stands for Start and Finish. It's a project that you started and finished in between Flosstubes. And this one I also happen to FFO, so it is a fully finished. So that's where you take a cross stitch project that you finish the stitching on and you turn it into something like a pillow or a framed finish, or, you know, various things. So this one is now fully finished, but I finished this over the Thanksgiving break. It was a very fast little project. I started this with my friends Cam and Marjorie, and this is Black Cherry Tart by Plum Street Samplers. I'm a huge autumnal Plum Street Samplers fan. I think they are gorgeous. But I decided to stitch Black Cherry Tart on 36 count Bramble linen by Picture This Plus with all of the called for DMC, because the called for DMC are gorgeous, and on a small, I love using the called for DMC. So this is a scrap of leftover fabric left over from my Quaker Gardens finish earlier this year, and it was literally the perfect size for me to chunk this on without having to break into another full fat quarter. So I used entirely stash for this, with the exception of the Tart pan. That was the only thing I had to buy. I had the pom-pom trim is Lady Dot Creates in the shade Mossy. So you can see it is a variegated pom-pom, so it doesn't quite line up color-wise, but I think it's fine. And I did replace the P in the project with a B, as my name is Bridget. But the project is not perfectly height and width the same, so it is slightly off center, but it looks so good. So I finished it in this Tart pan. It's a 5-inch Tart pan, and I am so obsessed. These like warm autumnal colors on this like gray purple fabric is just so cool. I stitched this over 2 days, November 27th and 28th, and yeah, that's a Black Cherry Tart. It is so gorgeous. And I love that the pom-poms on here actually look a little bit like a pie crust. I know it's green and pie crust isn't green, but you know, the vibe is a little bit that. So that is Black Cherry Tart. I am so excited to have it fully finished. It's my first time doing a Tart pan finish, but I know there are a few other Plum Streets that have the same style. I know there is an Olga, like an old cat Tart pan that I may need to look at doing. I don't know if it's the same size, because I do have 3 more of this 5-inch Tart pan that I'd like to put cross stitch in. But yeah, I am so happy with this little Thanksgiving small. I do tend to like working on smalls around Thanksgiving anyway. Last year, the year before, I worked on Strutting Tom by, is that by Lindy Stitches? I think so. But yeah, that is Plum Street Samplers Black Cherry Tart, just in time for fall to be over. But you know what? For the rest of the video, I'm gonna stick it down there by Mary and they can hang out. I really love these alternative finishes too. I think they're so much fun. I followed Helen D's finishing tutorial for that one, and it took me maybe 30 minutes. Super easy finish. We have been joined. If he'd like to say hello, would you like to say hello, Fergus? This is my one-eyed cat, Fergus. He is a menace to society, but he's also a little bit sleepy right now, so he might hang out for the rest of the video or might not. We'll see. Well, I got him in the lap right now. He's sitting. We'll see how long this lasts. Not very long. So for the month of December, I have things that I have to get done, like Vanity Sampler, but I also have other goals that I'm calling my stretch goals. That's a term my friend Cam throws around a lot, and I've just kind of picked it up from talking to her. But these are goals that I'd like to have done, but I'm not going to be upset if I don't get them done. They are kind of lower on the totem pole of priority, so to speak. But this is a project that I really would like to have finished this year. I have borrowed this chart from a friend, and I'd like to get it back to them because I've been holding it hostage for over a year now. But this is Birds of a Feather, Sally Spencer. This is an out of print chart that I am borrowing from a friend. It is one of my unicorn charts, and I was so excited to pick it up and get it started. It is so adorable. I first saw this on my friend Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch's channel, and ever since then it had been on my list to stitch. And when I had a friend who was working on it and they offered to send it to me when they were done, I jumped at the chance. So I am stitching this with the Vicky Clayton Silk Conversion because this is such a special piece. I wanted it in silks, but they are very close to the called for. Oh, it's so cute. And this is what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I haven't done a ton on this. I've only done like 400 stitches on my lunch breaks at work very recently, but it has gotten a little bit of progress, and I am working on getting this to 75% complete right now. So that's what it looks like now. Essentially, all I've done is fill in the body of this bird and his legs, this flower and stem here, and all of the leaves and stuff is what I've done. So haven't done a ton on this project, but I've done a little bit, and I really would like to have this finished this year, if only so I can return the chart, but also because this is such a special project and I would love to have it done. So as it stands right now, this project is sitting at 56% complete. I still have 2,700 stitches to finish the whole thing. To get it to 75% is only 1,150. So I would love to keep working on this and get this done by the end of the year, but I do need to finish Vanity Sampler and my Days of Christmas goals on my Hello from Liz Mathews Days of Christmas pieces before I can really focus in on this. But that is the goal, to get this done. Once I finish the things I have to do, this is next on my priority list. I'm stitching this on 40 count Duxbury linen by Fox and Rabbit, which is a gorgeous dark brown, a light bit of modeling, but not a ton. And the funky alphabet, sooner begun, sooner done, is just such a fun quote for a cross stitcher, and I'm obsessed. So one of these days, I'm gonna get this project done and on my wall, and I can't wait for that day. But I do need to prioritize other things for the moment, and then hopefully come back to this when those other things get done. So fingers crossed, we'll see. And then for the final project I'd like to share with you, I actually finished this last night, and this is one of my most anticipated finishes of the year. So again, if you've been following me for any length of time, I've been working on Vanity Sampler and another project with the intention of finishing both of the projects in the month of December this year. And I am happy to report I have my first finish of my year-long monthly stitching goals, and that is Song of the Night Gale by Modern Folk Embroidery. I'll show you the original one more time. This project I have loved ever since it came out, and I'm stitching mine in a pink on pink conversion, and not in the blues that it is called for in. This is what it looked like the last time that you guys saw it. I believe it was sitting at, you see. Okay, the last time that you guys saw this project, it was sitting at about 92% finished, 22,000 stitches done. I had just under 2,000 stitches to get it finished, And over the last couple days, I pulled it out and decided to try and get it done before I had to film today. And also because the 1 year anniversary of me starting this project is December 6th, which is tomorrow. So I wanted to have this project done before its 1 year anniversary. And I am happy to report it's done! I literally finished this at 11 o'clock last night. I worked it until it was all the way done, but this is stitched on a 36 count heirloom lace linen by Color and Cotton with 1 strand of DMC. I used DMC 3685, 3687, and 782, and it is stunning. Words cannot express how much I love this chart. I think it's even more beautiful from farther away, but I love it. I love the coverage. I love the birds. I love everything about it. 24,000 stitches in a year on one project is a lot for someone who likes to bounce around a lot. That's a very concerted effort that I had to make. But I love it because with Notion, I have these statistics on this project. I worked on this for a grand total of 47 days. Now, not all of those days were exclusively working on this. Some of those days were working on this for a little bit and then working on something else. But 42 different days. The most stitches I did in one day on this project was 1,044, and my daily average was 501 stitches. So that tracks, but I am so proud of this project. I'm so happy to have it done. I'm stitching this with my friend Catherine at Paper Crane Stitches on Instagram. She's still working on hers, but we both were working on this in monthly little sections, and it has been so much fun. So 2,000 stitches a month. I only fell behind on this project 1 month, because with the 36 count 1-stranded DMC stitching, I was able to stitch a lot of this in hand, which made it go by a lot faster than Vanity Sampler. So even though Vanity Sampler has less stitches overall than this one went a lot faster for me. But I am so happy to have it done. It might arguably be one of my biggest finishes ever. Like as far as density of stitching. I know it probably doesn't look huge, but there are a lot of stitches in this bad boy, and yeah, 47 days. So if I was monogamous, I probably could have knocked this out in 2 months, but it was very nice being able to break it up. It never felt like I was working on it for too long. Like it didn't really drag out because the monthly sections were so manageable. But yeah, so started this on December 6th of 2023, and I finished it on December 4th of 2024. And I am so excited. I cannot wait to get this framed. If you have any frame color suggestions, let me know. I always struggle with frames for pink. I'm thinking like a birch wood kind of a frame, like a very light wood. I don't want the frame to pull too much focus. I really want your eye to go to this like dark maroon color, I guess is the best way to categorize it. But oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have this done. It was a concerted effort, and there were a lot of times that I didn't really want to work on this. I wanted to work on other stuff, but I made myself push through, and by golly, was it worth it. I'm so excited. I have probably been holding this up for too long, but I just can't stop staring at it. I think it is one of my favorite finishes ever. It is just so intricate and so beautiful. And I remember talking with Catherine. I was boarding a plane to Arizona to go see my family, and this pattern dropped, and we were literally chatting about it until I lost signal in the air because I was so excited. So I wrapped that up with the 1900 stitches that one took, and that was it for everything that I have stitched since we last chit-chatted. So that was a lot. I am hopeful that the next time that I chit chat with you for a normal Flosstube video should be the end of the year. I'm not sure if that is going to be like a right after Christmas before my whip parade situation, or if you'll be seeing my whip parade first. Because I am planning on filming my whip parade this year in the beginning of the new year, just because I have all these statistics that I've been collecting all year, and I'd love to have a fully finished year-long wrap-up. to go into 2025 with. So I'm planning on filming that whip parade then, as well as a finish parade to go through everything I finished over the year, which I guess you got a sneak peek of a couple of those today. But yeah, that is my filming plans. I know I'm going to work on a ton of Christmas pieces up until then, because it's December and it is now the season for those. So finishing the 6th Day of Christmas by Hello from Liz Mathews and working on half of the 7th day. Then I also would like to pull out my Christmas garden, get a bit more done on that. I also would like to finish Woodland Wonder by Glendon Place. That is a whip I've had since 2021 that only has a little bit of beading left. So that is also something I'd like to finish. I only anticipate having one more start for the rest of the year, which is Emma Thatcher by Little Robin Designs. That is a sampler I planned on starting with my friend Cam for a long time, but we decided to make that our celebration start for finishing the Vanity Sampler. So obviously Vanity Sampler is not done, can't start that. And yeah, I also do plan on doing my New Year's Eve 12 by 12 this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to work monogamously on one project or bounce between a couple, but I do know that one of the projects that I will be focusing on for that is Night Walk Down by the Blue Flower. So that is definitely on my list. And I think that's it for like end of the year plans, mostly just end of the year goal panic stitching. That is the plan, and then fitting in some fun stuff around that. I'm so excited for the Jingle Ball this weekend. I am planning on working on my beading on my Woodland Wonder a little bit, and then not quite sure what else I'm gonna get up to. I do want to kind of have fun and not hold myself too strict on goal stitching since it is like a fun retreat. But, you know, I do have limited days to get things done this month, and that's just that. As far as haul is concerned, I only have one thing to show you, but I'm so excited. Okay, so last time we talked in my haul section, I had one of my unicorn charts that I'd been looking for forever, and I actually got it for a really affordable price, and I'm so happy. Well, then the same eBay seller had a copy of my next unicorn chart that I was looking for, that I've been looking for a long time, and that is Quaker Garden by Blackbird Designs. And it looks like this because I got it. So I got literally my top 2 unicorn out of print charts that I couldn't find, that I've been looking for months. In the span of a month, I got both of them, and I got both of them for under $100 combined. I only paid $60 for this chart, $40 for the other one, and I feel like that is insane. But this is a loose feathers chart that it's been out of print since it came out, since the year after it came out. But I have been so obsessed with it. I think it is beautiful with that funky alphabet and the birds and the butterfly. I just love this chart so much, and I cannot believe I got my hands on it. I cannot wait to stitch it. I'm thinking this might be my birthday start next year, so it might be a Blackbird birthday. But I want to find the perfect yellow-green fabric for this, because the called for is R&R Reproductions Garden State Java, and I have a feeling I'm going to have a hard time finding that because R&R fabric is very difficult to get your hands on. But I want that perfect color. As far as the flosses go, I can really convert to anything. It's only like 5 colors, and it is a very easy conversion to do, but I want that perfect matching the cover photo green fabric. Would you like to say hi again, Fergus? So yeah, I got Quaker Garden, so I guess I have to find my next unicorn chart to start hunting for. Actually, it might be another Blackbird. I think my next one that I really want to get my hands on is Bluebird's Message by Blackbird Designs, which is another one from this series. I guess this series, they popped them out of production pretty quickly, but there are definitely a few in this one, this series, that I'm very interested in stitching, but unfortunately was in elementary school when they were coming out, so wasn't going to be stitching cross stitch at that point in my life, but you know, anyway, So Bluebird's Message, I think, is the next one I'm gonna keep hunting for, but I'm so happy to have gotten two of my biggest wants in cross stitch very close together. And that is it for the cross stitch portion of today's video. So if you made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave me a needle and thread emoji. But if you would like to keep watching to talk about knitting and kind of my book wrap up segment, I'd love for you to join me, but definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what Christmas pieces you're working on or holiday pieces, or if you're not a seasonal stitcher, let me know what regular pieces you're working on. And we will move on to chatting about knitting. Okay, so my needles have been flying a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but pretty monogamously. I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've stayed kind of consistently working on one project. And that is my Stripe Hive sweater by Kudavikika, I think is how you say it. But the last time that you saw this project, I was still working on the body of the sweater. I am stitching this in Sandus Garn Double Sunday in a wide variety of colors that my friend Hannah picked out for me. This is what it looks like now. I can't even get it in frame. But okay, let's see. The last time you saw it, it was here. So I had just finished the red striping, and I put in my third contrast color, which is the colorway Croissant. And it is so cool. And I started on the body ribbing at the bottom. I've done 2 inches of body ribbing so far. It's called for to have 4. I'm gonna get it to 3 inches and then try on the sweater again and see how it's hitting. But I did get a comment on my last video about how the collar will pull in the sweater, so it might not look as oversized, because I do have, I think I messed up on my math, and I have 13.5 inches of positive ease on the sweater, which is a bit more than I typically would like. I think I'll want to hover in that like 10 inches area, but I was kind of in between sizes, and they said when you're in between sizes, go on the higher end. So I did stop working on the body and come in and pop in the collar really quick. So this is going to be the color at the end of the sleeves that you bind off the collar with. So that's cool. I've never put in a collar before. Definitely not perfect. There is a hole right here that I think I'm gonna go through and stitch up when I'm done. And I have a lot of ends to weave in on this sweater. Because of the stripes, but I am so happy with how it's looking. I think it is so cool, and it's like a garment for me. So the sleeves will go in once I finish the body ribbing, and those will be striped with a light pastel pink and this rosy terracotta-y brown color. I don't really know how to describe it. But that is my sweater update. I will move my progress marker now that we've chit-chatted, but I did all of that and the collar since we talked. It looks so good. I'm so excited. And I am keeping this one in a little piece of history. This is a knitting bag that was made by my great-grandmother and used by my grandmother, and I inherited it. I love it. I want to try and pattern hack it to make some more like it, because it really does hold so much yarn. I have my full sweaters quantity and the sweater in here, and it has room for other projects. I've also been keeping my hat in here that I'm about to show you, and it's got these pockets. I love the inside fabric, like ditzy floral. But there are, these diagonal pockets are also on the inside. So it's got 4 pockets. It's got these wooden dowels and a solid base at the bottom. And I just want to know how she made this. So I've kind of been studying it to see if I can figure it out, how to make one of these myself. And I have been unsuccessful so far, but it is just such a handy bag, and I could use more of these, particularly for sweater knitting, because it does get so bulky. But I am in ribbing hell, so wish me luck. I feel like I've been knitting on this body ribbing for forever, and I'm still only halfway, so whatever, it's fine. It's gonna look so good. It's gonna be so worth it. But that is my progress on my stripe hype. And the only other project that I worked on, I did cast on a hat. I wanted something a little bit smaller and a little bit more portable. And when I got my order of my Sorella Rhinebeck yarns in, I could not resist, which I will show you these sweater yarns that I purchased from that collection here in just a second. But I did decide to start a hat in the colorway. I ordered a skein of fingering weight in Apple Cider Donut, which is this beautiful color. It's like a brown variegated shade, and I cast on a Musselburgh hat in this colorway for myself. I am gonna have to pause this because I have some Christmas beanie requests from my little brother, so I'm gonna pause making my own hat to go ahead and make him one. But this is the Musselburgh. It is a very popular hat pattern that you knit essentially like a jelly bean shape. So you'll knit this tube and then close the other end of the tube, and then you fold it in so it's a double thickness hat, which I know is probably not super necessary here where I live in Texas. It doesn't get that cold. But on the days it is cold, it feels very cold because we're not used to it here. So in February, we do get a good bit of ice and cold weather, and it would be nice to have that for that. But I think it's gonna be a really pretty color on me, and I love it. I love the way it's working up. I think the variegation in the yarn is beautiful. It's my first time working with Sorella yarn, and it is so soft. I really thought I was gonna struggle with starting this hat because I'm not a big fan of knitting on the magic loop. I much more prefer small circumference circulars, but I don't have small circumference circulars right now, so this is just what I did. But I followed Nitty Natty's tutorial for starting this hat, and I got it done. So I am now finished with all the counting on this project for a long time, and I just have miles and miles of plain old stockinette in the round to go. So this has been really easy. I take it in the car with me when we're going places, and I can usually get in a couple rounds driving, like while someone else is driving, while I'm passenger princessing. And it is such a small project. I'm keeping this in a little zipper bag that my friend Marjorie made for me at StitchCon. And it is so compact and easy. I have a little skein collar on it so I can center pull without my ball collapsing, that I got years ago. I don't know from where. But yeah, I finally got this on the circulars and I can just go. But that is my Musselburgh hat that I'm very, very excited for. I do think I'll be knitting my brother a Musselburgh hat as well, but I want to knit his in a thicker yarn. He is planning on moving to somewhere a lot colder next year, and so I think he's gonna want that winter protection. And so I think I'm gonna knit him a sport weight Musselburgh hat, also because it'll take me a lot less time to knit it, and I'm on a bit of a deadline since he asked me fairly recently. But I can keep this little project bag anywhere. Like, it is so small, and it does fit in my sweater bag with my sweater. I can pop this in there too, so all my knitting stays together in a flat bottom bag that I just love. So that's everything I've like actually knit on, but I do have a little bit more haul from my Sorella yarn order, and I am so happy with it. I got a sweater's quantity of sheep and wool. This is a, I think you can see it through the bag, but it is a gorgeous like creamy gray color. It's very Flannel Flower, with these pops of teal and pink and yellow. And I think it's going to knit up into a gorgeous sweater. My plan is to make the tendril sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. It is just a basic one color sweater, but it has this little bit of cabling and like a lightning stitch pattern right at the shoulder. So it has a little bit of interest, but I think it'll highlight the yarn really well. So I can't wait to cast that on. This is in DK weight base. And the second one that I ordered was a sweater kit for the framed sweater by Andrea Mowry. This was like the Rhinebeck sweater online, and it is a beautiful colorwork sweater that actually resembles quilt stars, which as a quilter before I was a cross stitcher, I love crafts that look like other crafts. So I could not resist buying this set. especially when this colorway was the colorway I wanted the most from this collection by Sorella. And that is Catskills. This is a worsted weight base. The sweater is in worsted weight yarn. But this color alone, I want to knit everything in. But it's very highly variegated, so I wasn't quite sure what I was gonna do with it until I saw that framed sweater. So I will be knitting this yarn in the colorwork sections with ceramic, which is just a plain cream color. So these two will go together in the sweater. And then the shoulder, cuffs, and hem will be in the same dark teal color. Definitely reads a little bit more green in person. This is Phoenicia Diner. So Catskills Ceramic and Phoenicia Diner is my combination. She was selling counted out kits with these colorways and this orange color, this like dark gold orange as the contrast, but I just made my own kit. But Catskills is my favorite yarn from this collection, hands down. All of these colors are very me, and I cannot wait to try it. I know there's a lot of color work in the sweater, but I feel like I'm up for the challenge, and this yarn is so soft. So that was my Sorella order. I got my tendril sweater, my framed sweater, and my one skein for a muscle bra hat for myself. And with that, I am on a yarn ban for a hot minute until I knit through some of the stash here. I also do still plan on making a vest for myself out of this yarn that my friend Megan gave to me. So I'm keeping all the yarn for like my more recent planned starts in the future once I finish my stripe pipe. I was hoping to have the body of my stripe pipe done. I really did want to wear it on my trip to Oklahoma next week, but that's obviously not going to happen. I do think with the 5 hours of car knitting each way, I can likely get my sweater finished next week. Fingers crossed, right guys? So yeah, once I finish that sweater, I'm gonna do my vest really quickly, which I think should go pretty fast. Although famous last words. And then from there, I'll reevaluate what sweater I'd like to start next. I'd like to do a smaller project with some color work first, just to make sure that I have a grasp on how I'm holding things and my tension. But yeah, so that is everything on the knitting front. As far as books go, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who gave me a recommendation for a slump busting book last video. I have saved all of your recommendations in Storygraph, which is the app that I plan on using to track my reading next year. And I am still kind of trying to get out of that slumpy headspace. I'm still working on it. So I will let you know if I'm successful. But I loved some of your recommendations. A lot of you recommended books that I've loved in the past, which is even better because I know you know my style. But I am still working on unslumping myself for the remainder of this year, but fingers crossed. And with that, that is the end of this video. If you have made it to this point in the video, you're the real ones. And go ahead and leave me your favorite holiday emoji. It doesn't have to be anything specific. It can be stars, trees, lights, anything. So go ahead and leave me your favorite. As you can see, we have decorated for Christmas here. I swapped out my winter lavender and lace queen. I have this little finish out that I finished last December, which is a little freebie from, oh, I should know this. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it is a free pattern. Hands-on design, maybe? And I have this finish of Santa's Coming by Stitch Rovia in a frame that is chipping, so don't look at that. I have to repaint it. And then we have these hand-knit stockings from my grandmother up. These are a huge family tradition around here. Oh no, okay, sorry, that was probably awkward. I am actually working on understanding the pattern she used. My grandmother passed away a couple years ago, and her grand tradition, it was every single member of the family got one of these hand knit stockings from her, but only once you officially married in. You didn't get the stocking as a spouse until after your wedding day. So if you had a Christmas while you were engaged, you didn't get a stocking yet, or you were born in. So This is my little brother's stocking here, but she, before she passed away, did give me the pattern, but it is a bad scan from a magazine that I cannot find the name of because the page cut off the magazine title and year. And I've done like reverse Google image searching and I've struggled. So anyway, I have the pattern. And since I've been getting back into knitting, I have been working on trying to understand this pattern and rework the colorwork chart to an understandable point for myself. So that is something I am trying to tackle. Luckily, everyone in the family on my dad's side is older than me and my brother, and they're all already married and have all had all of their children. So I don't think we will need one of these stockings again until my brother or I get married, which as a chronically single person, that is going to be a hot minute away. So I have time to understand the pattern, all of that to say, but these are a really special craft for me and my family. My grandmother, good Lord, was a tight knitter. And she knit all of these in Red Heart Super Saver. So these are all knit with acrylic yarn. And now that I have the ability to carry on this family tradition, I think moving forward, I'm going to knit these in wool. I think Cascade 220 would be perfect for these. And I think it would make them a lot stretchier. And yeah, I just think for something as special, I want real wool. Actually, did she color work that? She didn't color work these. Sorry, I am just now realizing my grandmother did in fact not knit these with color work. She, what's it called when you stitch over the knit stitches to do the color work after the fact? Grandma. I mean, that's a perfectly respectable way to do it too. I just assumed she had knit these in color work. That is wild. Okay, well, maybe they're a lot easier than I thought then. Is it double stitching? Is that what you call it when you stitch over the knit stitches to do the color work? Anyway, these are a very important family tradition for me, and as the craftiest of her granddaughters, I would say, not to give myself my own title here, but I think it's up to me to reinterpret the pattern into more beginner-friendly knitting terms for the rest of the family moving forward. And so that is something that is on my list to tackle. I just have not yet. Wow, I meant to end the video and then I just kept talking. That's just how it goes. So anyway, that is something I'm working on as well. Yeah, that is everything I've worked on and knitted and talked about in the last couple of weeks. But I hope that you guys are feeling appropriately festive for however you celebrate this time of year. And I hope to see you at the end of the year with a lot of exciting wrap-ups and things. It is gonna be a slog to get there, but I am confident in my ability to correctly end of year panic. And that's what matters. So I'm going to go clean all of this up, finish out my work day, take some progress photos, and get this edited and up to you before Jingle Ball festivities tomorrow, hopefully. So happy Thursday, happy December. I wish you all of luck in your end of year stitching goals or knitting goals or reading goals. And I will talk to you guys in my next one. Happy holidays. I'll see y'all later. Bye.